Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, the big news is that, of course, the president has appointed a new secretary to the government of the Federation in the person of Mr. Boss Mustafa, which, of course, is, if I could make that sentence, is because the president also fired the until now incumbent Babachir Lawal. Also, Mr. Oke of the NIA has also been relieved of his job, and the rest will follow. But as soon as the news hit that the president had indeed relieved Mr. Lawal, Babachir Lawal, of his job and had appointed a new one, the commentary that immediately followed that was that spot on. That's exactly the way to go. But then there was criticism that, you don't stop there. In fact, notably from Governor Ayo Fayose, say, look, he's expecting those gentlemen to be arrested and prosecuted. And then a few hours later, presidential spokesman Garba Shehu indeed did speak and say, for the avoidance of doubt, the presidency would not be interfering in any way, shape, or form with ongoing investigations against Mr. Mustafa, and if need be, let them go to prosecution. In short, nothing whatsoever. Does that mean that, contrary to maybe suspicions in some quarters that maybe they might be looking for a soft landing for someone, all of that was just laid to rest by that? Also, interesting, the news came out yesterday. Indeed, this was indeed from the horse's mouth, talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Fake news, entirely fake news, all this business about a rift with the presidency, about cabal. There is no such thing as a cabal in the presidency. Just a lot of stuff that the general public doesn't understand. Okay, maybe we'll touch on those two issues, but at least starting with the big one, we have a new secretary to the government of the Federation. My guest this morning is Mr. GT Ogunye. Mr. Ogunye is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on, GT.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. I'm grateful
now,
for the invitation.
Everything seems to be hunky-dory. Finally, the suspended secretary to the government has indeed been sacked. And not just sacked, the processes that usually follow the allegations against him, impropriety, conflict of interest, in short, all sorts of impropriety against him. The president has said, 1, you're fired, 2, any criminal proceedings should continue. What more could you ask for?
My take is that that action was too late in coming.
Okay. About 6 months, right?
Yes, it was too late in coming. I have always maintained the view that a term in office is a perishable phenomenon. It's 4 years. And after 4 years, under the Constitution, you can have another term of 4 years. Therefore, a president does not have all the time in the world to move at his own space. Pace that handlers and supporters will then rationalize. That, oh, this president is punctilious, is detailed, he doesn't want to take any action in a hurry, these reports are too voluminous and all that. That's not the kind of thing. So this action, good as it is, it's late in coming. And is, if you ask me, is in sync, is in tandem with the style of the president that we're familiar with. It took the president about 6 months to constitute a cabinet. It took him long periods of time to do certain things. Now, it's taking him too long.
It's almost...
Some people may say that it's better late than never.
Than never, but, I can understand, how you explain it. In fact, those that look at it through that prism, probably speculating now, could come up with the speculation that, well, if there's anything to that, then it would have to mean that this was a reluctant action. Now, that is speculation.
It's not, it's not just speculation, it's assumption. And you can call assumption speculation. Look, let's because the presidency has lumped these two matters together. For me, they are not one and the same thing. that of
the Director
Ambassador
General. Okay.
Ayoke and that of Babachir Lawal. Babachir Lawal, let me start with that. There was an investigation by the Senate, and there was an investigation, we're told, by the presidency, claiming that they've looked at it and that they've given him a clean bill of health. Oh, yes. And the Senate had to insist and all that. And the presidency didn't do anything about it. There was a lull until the Ambassador Ayoke incident occurred. And in then suspending Ambassador Ayoke, the president then realized that it wasn't possible for him to so suspend him and leave Babachir. And then they lumped the two together.
Okay, that's your read.
That's what happened. It's not my reading, it's what happened. Because the president gave him first a clean bill of health. We're all in this country. And so what has been portrayed, what has been projected is that at least for Babachir Lawal, the president was reluctant to deal with this case. And so, even before this action was taken,
now that he has done it, perhaps to sort of counter the, speculated reluctance, we're getting, we're getting the vibe from the presidency that prosecution will continue. It's not as if this is an action where just get away from there and it's all over and we forget about it. Say, no, continue. Well, that is an additional step, isn't it?
Well, prosecution should continue. Prosecution should have started for anybody that may be found with it. It's a continuous exercise. So it doesn't need to have taken 6 months. So when you say prosecution can continue or can commence, and if that has not
actually continue.
That does not even be said. It's investigation. They talk about investigation, not prosecution.
Yeah, investigation, which has already begun. And so we're talking about there will be a continuation of that. Yeah. In other words, no attempt. Well, as you said it in your opening. The president has this reputation of being very, very particular. Careful. I think you used the word punctilious, and all of that. Well, he is like that, and the mere fact that somebody throws stuff at him that this man is out of order. Probably the president has his means, his ways and means of wanting to get to the bottom of the story. In fact, recently I began to hear stories coming from everybody, not excluding Professor Sagi, that, it's the presidency, the president that has all aspects to a given story. We, with the best of intentions, might not have it all. Maybe the gathering of all of this for the president to then take this action, it does take some time. And so when the president was now persuaded that looking at everything, it's not a matter of anybody witch hunting anybody, investigations have been conducted, and it is clear.
Look, I'm not persuaded by that logic. And that's why I use my words advisedly. You can have an army of rationalizers, you can have supporters, you can have people and all that. And I'm not saying this as an adversary will say it. I'm just saying it as it's appeared to me in a very constructive manner. Look, in the judiciary, it is the law that a judgment must be delivered within 3 months. A judge is not given the liberty to say that, yes, I have until 1 year to deliver my judgment. Okay. As a matter of fact, recently, a judge of Lagos State Judiciary was sent out of the bench by the NJC's recommendation because of something like that, delay in delivering a judgment. So I'm saying that a president of a country cannot say that it's going to take me 6 months to constitute. He doesn't have that luxury. Indeed, I will venture to say that he doesn't have that right. He doesn't. And he's not alone. There are governors who didn't constitute their cabinet for 2-3 years. This is not democracy. Really?
Well, talking about rights of presidents or power of president, I think Babachir included in his statement the fact that, look, the president doesn't even have the right to order the discontinuation of any investigation.
I have made a point that, look, Nigerians want the president to succeed. I want the president to succeed. But I'm saying that that cannot be on the basis of the speed of snail.
Okay.
It can't be. There must be some kind of urgency to the business of governance. It's like the business of life itself. You must do things at the appropriate time. Because what this has, people can claim the victory now and say that, oh, we are the one who pressured this president to take this action. He didn't want to take it. If that action had been taken from day one.
Just upon the whole mentioning of the case,
That
on the face of it, it just looked like, well, this is the matter against Babachir Lawal, and understandably, bosses don't always react immediately to, allegations against their staff. They say, of course, I'll check it out, but people in the public eye. So,
why did the president then react immediately to the minor saga? It was hot potato. Why did the president react so swiftly? Commendably, in my view. Commendably, in my view. So I'm saying, look, the presidency of Nigeria is a very big institution. It's the executive branch of government at the federal level. It has awesome powers. It has huge resources. It has many personnel. It can take action on its feet.
if it wants to.
If it wants to.
And so what
But
you
when it then slows down,
then
and then the interpretation is being given that it is because the president wants to look at all the sides and all that, you can tell me something. I may interpret it differently. That's the point I'm making.
So you're saying kudos, but too late. That's why you said there are those who might say better late than never, but you take the point of view that, look, we need a faster turnaround on these matters. Whenever. And you also, you're not particularly enamored of the statement coming at the same time that both that both Babachir Lawal and Ambassador have been relieved of their duties. They're two different cases.
There are two different cases.
And the impression shouldn't be given that. But from the point of view of the decisiveness of this government and getting back on track of that whole anti-corruption mien, you said it already, a bit late in the day, but it's come, as if to sort of reassure, because there are those who are beginning to think that this whole anti-corruption stance of this government, whereas we know Mr. President is in there, a tree doesn't make a forest, etc., etc. And so they thought he was floundering a bit. And maybe this has sort of sharpened the image a bit.
In fact, there are people who have generated a narrative that is perhaps Mr. President and the Vice President and Magu alone that are fighting corruption, that every other person is not fighting corruption. There's that narrative in the public domain. What the President has done now is what we expect that the President continue to do. If Nigerians are impatient for actions, it's because they've been pylorate. It's because Nigerians have been, subjected to all sorts of indignities in the hands of those who have been wielding power in this country. And so they are eager for resolution of their nightmare. They are impatient for the soothing balm, so to speak. Okay. And so you cannot quarrel with the impatience of Nigerians. Yes, we need to, the argument can be made that we need rational patience and we need a kind of methodology to solving our problems, even if those problems are age-long problems. Yes, the argument can be made, but the point I'm making is that we need to undertake the business of governance with speed. Okay,
at least with dispatch. Good morning, Raymond in Warri.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay. See, I've been watching your program over time. I like your topic of discussion. But the issue now within on this present administration, there are so much lies. When you come to power under propaganda, you'll be forced to do a lot of things. That is why you see that the decisions are inconsistent. You cannot set a standard, one standard for one person and another standard for another person. That way, Nigeria will not go forward. If we truly believe and the president truly hold up to the responsibility that he is a transparent person, is an incorruptible person, his action should show it. You have suspended somebody. He has been indicted by a report. What stops the law enforcement agents to take over? Imagine you see on pages of newspaper, EFCC saying that some persons are helping to protect MENA. That is not how a country should be run, by somebody that comes on the ground that I want to fight corruption. So I think I really want reporters like you to still engage the government, keep on saying it, telling them what they are doing, where it is going wrong. Okay. We have too many praise singers that is making the government to go wrong.
So again, Raymond, is it that you're actually down with this action of the president, but then let's be a bit more consistent? Is that what you're saying? Say, yeah, this one is okay, but don't handle different cases differently. Is that what you're saying?
The standard, take for instance, the ambassador, is one issue. Babachir, Lawal, of course, from even your discussion, you know that Babachir was given a clean bill of health before they now somewhere along the line, they changed the rules. It shouldn't be so. There should be a standard, and in respect, government is continuous, and there should be institution that works. We should not be align everything to say if the president do anything, nothing will work. If we have institutions that are working, irrespective of the president, if his house is there, if it's not there, the institutions will work. But what we have here is that everybody is playing to the gallery, and that is why you see agencies that are supposed to do their civic responsibility are not doing it, waiting for the body language of the president, which is very wrong. But my point is, if the president wants to fight corruption, he should be consistent. The standard should be the same, and that way it will work for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raymond, for calling in. Points well taken. You know, the political atmosphere, here we are, we're just somewhere around the midterm of this administration, somewhere around it. And there have been complaints. Speed, taking action with dispatch is one of those complaints. We've had the reasoning behind that, look, this is the attitude of this particular president and presidency, making assurances doubly sure and all of that. That's on the one hand. Then we've heard that the whole political, maybe from what we're getting now, let's use the word fable, the whole political fable that there's a cabal working within the presidency. I call it a fable because Tinubu just said yesterday that you can put this under the category of fake news, along with his supposed rift. It looks like Nigerians are getting a rewrite of recent political observations. And these have actually been voiced by people that, in fact, no less a person than even Mrs. Madam First Lady herself has had reason to comment that not too sure about the composition of people that are around this whole place. These are strangers. These are people I didn't see before. These are people not known to this whole effort. But now you have actual players coming to, as it were, throw a spoke in the wheel of what is out there as the accepted, shall we say, perception of what's actually going on. So what do you think is going on? Are things being rewritten? Has Mr. President decided, you know what, I'm going to go into a different phase? What's your read?
Well, if I were to be a political pundit or a political analyst, and all it takes me to dismiss the possibility of the existence of a cabal in the presidency is one singular visit by a major player in the processes that led to the emergence of this administration, and I'm talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His statement to the effect that there are no such cabal. If all it would take me to dismiss that is that statement, then I would be a political neophyte. Politicians can say many things. you are aware that George Lawal, and I'm not saying that the statement that has been made by Joaju Tinubu is in that category.
It's necessarily Orwellian.
Yes, but you know, George Orwell in his book 1984 postulated that political language as a camouflage is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable. Political language is what it is, political language.
Okay.
In the United States of America, for example, a Trump who is proven to be a thorn in America's rules of democracy, having his back against the wall, has been tweeting furiously, saying that this never happened, I never colluded, and the evidence is showing the contrary.
Okay,
somebody is admitting that yes, there were discussions and so on and so forth. So any politician can say many things.
Okay,
but people are bound to look at things and then come to their own conclusion.
And have their own understandings.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, all of this is leading towards 2019 anyway, but maybe that's probably a sight too far at the moment. Okay, from George Orwell to our dear Mr. George in Ikeja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. There's no Orwell in my name. And good morning to Mr. Gunye.
Good morning, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, I agree with Mr. Gunye that the president needs to increase his speed. It's not, you don't have 6 months in the time to stand to just to take a decision on only one matter. So, you know, I said it before that he needs to increase his speed. But be that as it may, Uncle Yori, I'm interested in more details about the one concerning the NIA boss. Because many people had come on television to say, that money is for sting operation and things like that. If the man has now been sacked, it is a vindication that there was a wrongdoing. In particular, I want to know what is that money? What was it really meant for? Who owns it? And what, how did it get there? We need more details about that. And then, Uncle Yori, I do not seem to agree with Asiwaju Tinubu that there is no cabal.
And
even
that it's fake news.
Even the wife of the president could not have been transmitting fake news. She said that people who did not help the husband to win the election had hijacked the government. This was publicly known, and she did not say it was a lie. She did not deny it. And we all know that the slow speed of Mr. President is as a result of the cabal around him. He wants to take decisions. They will want to feed him with falsehood. So he has to be careful to make sure that he doesn't taint his integrity. These are the things that are at play. So the national leader of the APC, where it's suspected of a leader, but I'm afraid I do not agree with that. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Okay, going to the point you made last. Tinubu, a national leader. Now, the rift between him and the presidency, and by the way, newspapers are discreetly putting in the word alleged before the word rift now, in the light of his statement. So the alleged rift with the president is fake news.
No, there are two things. First, he dismissed the alleged rift, and for me, he has dominion and jurisdiction over that issue, whether he had a rift with the president. He has said that there's no such rift.
There's no such thing.
Now, secondly, he talked about the non-existence of a cabal. That's where I have serious disagreement.
Okay.
So there are two things for me. It's one thing to say that you don't have a rift with somebody. It's another thing to say that, in the presidency, there are no persons who are so special that they can do anything. Look, the point that the last but one intervener made, how is it possible that an anti-corruption agency can be crying out to the world? It's an armed agency. You have soldiers, you have custom, you have, it's interdisciplinary. You have them there. And policemen crying to the world that we're being prevented from arresting somebody because he's being guided. Who is guiding him? So these are issues. And so when people then want us to dismiss all that, it just won't wash. But let me just say something, which is, I think I need to say. And it was Mr. Joe that was saying that. He said he was interested in the NIA thing. When the news broke, because I was privileged to continue to function as the legal advisor to Premium Times. Premium Times report on that matter is different from what people outside believed. The report of Premium Times is that this money belongs to the NIA and it was meant for an operation. Now, I can confirm that there are many things journalists, information that come to journalists that they can't publish, particularly when those pieces of information relate to very serious security issues.
Exactly.
So now what has happened yesterday is that the president has terminated the appointment of Ambassador Oke. His tenure ends 7th of November. Termination of an appointment may not be a dismissal and may not connote that a crime has been committed. My public view when that news broke was that what we're seeing was just a result of intelligence rivalry. The money was given to the NIA. The money was given to the SSS, given to all the agencies in the life of the Jonathan administration to conduct certain operations. The government has the information.
Okay.
So if you are expecting that the government will then come forward and tell you the details of the money.
Might be a bit naive.
And that's the point that I made when the news broke.
Oh,
the money was stolen.
Okay.
The money was PDP money. It won't happen.
Let me quickly, I'll come back to that. Mr. Tunde in Pretoria, apologies for keeping you waiting. Go ahead now.
All right. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. My contributions goes like this. I think the sacking of this Babachir, Lawal and I think is not enough. We should be seeing them on TV this morning or yesterday with handcuffs in their hands, going to court or whatever. You know what I think we need in Nigeria is I want Mr. President to listen to this. This message is for Mr. President. We need a scapegoat. Uncle Yori, we need a scapegoat. Just one or two of these powerful politicians or whatever you want to call them, they have to go to jail and they have to be sentenced heavy.
Okay.
Maximum of 15 years. That is what we make every...
I hear you, Tunde, but I think you mean we need a conviction because the word scapegoat does have its negative connotations, as in, being made a scapegoat of. That's not what we need at this point, because I think Nigerians want a person to, if he's going to be convicted, let it be plain, let it be transparent, let it not seem that he was scapegoated. I think I've lost Tunde, but thank you very much for calling in, Tunde. Go on a break now. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thanks to our last caller, Tunde in Pretoria. He was speaking about we need scapegoats, but I'm just guessing that he meant we need examples. We need, convictions to set examples that this is not going to continue. Just like Mr. President said at the beginning, that it's not going to be business as usual. Scapegoating is a different thing. A person might easily be innocent, but you might make a scapegoat of a person, and I'm sure that's not what Mr. Tunde meant and when he said we need scapegoats. I don't think Nigerians want scapegoats. No, they don't want you. What they want is examples, and I think that is what Mr. Tunde meant. Now, you were making the point that we might not necessarily know the truth about the whole Ikoyi flat money of the NIA, whose money that is, but You indicated it in your this aspect in your. You indicated it in your this aspect in your what you said just before we had to go and break that. Well, espionage is what it is. You know, intelligence, espionage. No government is going to furnish you with exact details about what's going on.
And the person in the eye of the storm will not come out to tell you details
They
of
can't
what
be
the
done.
money is, even if his head is.
People are sworn to secrecy.
People are saying that you are a thief and all that. You get him to come out to say that.
No. It
This
can't
is
be
my
done.
own side of the story.
They don't.
Because it will be like a beast masquerade, just going to the market scale and then, you're removing his
In fact,
gap.
so the rumor or legend goes with espionage organizations all over the world is that when you're sent on a mission, if you are caught, you know before you go that if you are caught, government, we will disown you.
Of course.
So it goes with the territory. You're entirely on your own. The thing is, don't get caught.
I think that people have been asking, because when that news broke, the question people were posing was, what is the undercover operation? And nobody is going to give any explanation
Nobody's
of
going
what
to
it
give
is.
it. Mazi Okorafor in Abia State. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Yori. Good morning, Mr. Ogunye. Honestly, Sir Yori, I have to thank you for the yesterday program. Please, the minister that came on board, please.
We thank the minister.
Grace of God, he will visit Arusuku Road. You see, Mr. Yori, on today's agenda, Nigerians have tried to raise their voice on this issue. Thank God that the federal government did like President Trump used to do. You see, we have seen what happened. Now, if you watch America now, like what somebody was watching, you see, America now, the director of campaign for Mr. Trump is now facing the United States. I would like Nigeria, anything that happens, let there be please speed. What I mean by speed, anything happen within that period of 3 weeks, 1 month, 6 weeks, we take action and everything that's up. This one has just come down. This issue of Babachir and Analyst will be singing birds maybe by next week. By the grace of God, another one will come up again. That's what we are facing now in Nigeria. Which I'll just ask, let people in authority, or let all of us find time. Let us stop all these issue of issues coming up. And these issues divert attention of what the government is supposed to do. My question to our guests in the studio, sir, why is it very difficult for Nigerians to find it very difficult to throw in their towel, knowing very well that what they have done is wrong? Why is it so in Nigeria? Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi. An interesting question. Why is it that we don't throw in the towel when you know that this is a bad case? I've been caught pants down.
I will give you an answer. Armed robbers hardly throw in the towel. If the mindset in going to public office is that you're going to help yourselves from the public till. If your focus is primitive accumulation of money and empire building and seeing as personal that which is collective, you're not going to resign. You're not likely going to resign. But if...
And that attitude is prevalent in Nigeria?
Yeah, if your focus is service, you say, what the heck?
Exactly.
Why do I need to kill myself just to serve? You pull yourself out. Oh, if they don't appreciate me now, they will appreciate me later.
Yeah, but
but that's not the mindset.
No,
So
not very many people go into politics.
It's different.
For the reason
we all saw after losing face, the Prime Minister of UK, Cameron, packing out of number 10 Downing Street. And it was remarkable for me because he was loading his stuff personally with the wife. International television showed it to us. He was drawing his luggages himself.
Okay, that's a totally different attitude.
Britain that colonized us.
Yes.
So do you know how our local government chairman, how they travel to the airport?
Reverend Dominic, good morning.
Good morning, Chief Yori. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Reverend.
Good morning, Barrister Jide.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let me start this way. Let me start from the Ashwaju of Lagos.
Okay.
I support what he said. That shows a credible politician I know and I love. It's only a fool that can build a house and destroy by himself. And this one character I've not seen in Chief General or Chief Olusegun Obasanjo When you throw a stone on the house you build, it doesn't speak of integrity. So Ashwaji is right. It's a fake news. There's no trouble. There's no cabal. Ashwaji is right. Because he's part of this. Now, it's like the same thing that happened to me. I'm an activist, I'm a preacher. Many people have thrown me stone about this government of APC, which will fight all our lives to set it. But Yori, I'm no more comfortable because I'm a pastor, I'm not a politician. One thing that gives me concern in this government is this. Every trouble that this government has faced came from inside it. There's a report this morning before me here that the HOS, or the head of service, is saying that he warned Mr. President about restating MENA. Nobody has deferred that story. If you care, it's not taking this story through. It's a leaked memo. Why should government officials leak their own memo against the government they're running? And after this story, nothing has happened. Remember, there's a woman who was supporting Atiku, a minister, who was supporting Atiku, who is in this government. I thought the best thing to do is that, well, madam, you did well. You have right of opinion. Then you can, by the sense of collective responsibility, you can't be in this ship and sabotage the ship. If we're going for Atiku, you can go out of the government. There's people who can help us make this one work. But everything here, delay. We can ask ourselves a question. When we delay 8 months to choose ministers, what was the quality of ministers we get? Why do we delay every day? This government is not helping matters. They throw me stone every day. Every time this government fumbles, my wife will shout on me, change. It's getting embarrassing. This Mackenzie.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. It seems the president is being seen as a slow coach, let it be said. He is being seen as a slow coach. That is the way he is. They're not even apologizing, as a matter of fact. But
they're rationalizing instead and justifying by saying that there is integrity and wisdom in delay. And
that they prefer to make haste slowly. You know, that kind of a thing. But at the same time, you've got to listen. And what people are asking for, people like yourself, people like Reverend Dominic and other commentators, it's not too much. These are different times. These are modern times. These are digital times. Instantaneous times, in fact. Something happens, it goes around the world in a flash.
Yes, we need to strike a balance, and that has been charitable. You know, there is pitfall in spontaneity. Nobody is saying that people should take rushed decisions, particularly when those decisions may impact on lives and people's career and people's integrity and people's name, you know. But you are expected to strike a balance. You're a president, you can call for files, you can for, and you know, you look at it in 48 hours, you know, you take that decision. For example, if Nigeria is being invaded by a foreign power, and there is a need to declare a state of emergency and declare war.
You can't dilly-dally.
Even if it is night,
yes,
the president will have to declare that war.
Indeed. One moment. Well,
so there are decisions you can't just sit down and say, I have all the time to take it. No, okay. That's not statecraft.
Let's bring in Mr. Laja Martins in Ikorodu. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well. One of the things that it's a quick one. This government is shrouded in so much secrecy. There is so much to hide. And when you have so much to hide, a lot of things go on underneath the scene. And that is what is happening. The man at the helm of affairs, sometimes he will say people call him Baba Go Slow. In fact, he's worse than that now. If Baba Nrakoro, or not only go slow. The things are not done quickly. And what you delay, you will never get it right exactly, because time has value. Time has value. All these actions, look at the time Shibaji submitted his report. Look at the time we are just taking actions. A lot of water must have gone under the bridge. The holes will be blocked and things will be done. We need to move in a country that is so covered with a lot of problems. I think we need to move fast. We need to move fast. We've had 2 years plus now nothing. In fact, everybody is complaining.
Yeah.
Even the people in government, the APC themselves, they are grumbling. They are complaining because of Baba go slow. I think we need to do something. Something has got to be done quickly.
All right then. Thank you very much,
so,
Thank you, Mr. Martins. Thank you very much for calling in. I wonder if it's. Do you think it goes a bit too far to speculate that this might just be the turning point between all that has been said by Mr. Martins and the kind of things you have been saying, just about everybody who has called this morning, speaking about the lack of dispatch in taking actions, that there might be something of a turning point here. I mean, here is Tinubu and in a closed-door meeting for so long and making statements that, things. Do you think the things are sort of? They've been talking about this and they've decided to take things up a notch, and so Tinubu's statements out there are supposed to, as it were, reset following all sorts of consultations, all sorts of discussions that are going on, all sorts of reassurances. And now this is meant to reset the narrative in preparation for 2019, no doubt.
Hopefully.
Let me include Joshua from Bidda before you go. Sorry about that. Yeah. Good morning, Joshua.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
How are you and how is your family?
Very well. How are you?
How are you, Mr. Jide?
I'm not Jide, I'm
Mr. GT Ogunye.
Good morning.
It's okay. How is life with you? Please, Uncle Yori, I want to make a statement this morning.
Sure.
The government fighting corruption or corruption is fighting the government?
I think it's the first.
Because what I observe is that, or what I read this morning, is that the boss, that's the new SGF, is the first cousin to Babachir, Lawal. You discover that from the cycle of what is obtainable, you discover that we have not really entered the change which the government is really preaching. If the Babachir Lawal left the seat and his first cousin is taking over the seat of the AGM, who is receiving who in this very nation, Uncle Yori? Please tell the government so that they will change their ways of handling things in this very nation and do the right thing. Thank you. I pray that they will ask them to go and face the EFCC and other things.
Well, okay, thank you very much. The last point you made, I think I can just say it again. The presidency has said that what has happened here, sacking of Babachir Lawal, not interfering any way whatsoever in the ongoing investigations. They're not being stopped or anything. So that will continue. And if it needs to go to prosecution, I'll let it go to prosecution. Now, this whole matter that it's also out there. The new, secretary to the government, Boss Mustafa, I believe, is the name. Him being a first cousin or not.
Who has said that?
That is the whole point I was going to make.
The person who has said that is this Buhari's trenchant critic from the north, Dr.
Junaid Mohammed, Second Republic
who
politician.
said that.
I was even going to ask, does it matter at the end of the day?
For me, it's not an issue for me, except it's been suggested that that office has been zoned to this so-called extended family of the person, and so he's taking the family slot. There are more things that we need to focus on. The question for me is that the man that has been put in there, is he qualified to be? People have raised the questions of whether the president shouldn't have cast his net wider, to pick a secretary to the government of the federation. Well, but that's its discretion. I'm not the one that has been given the mandate.
Why I even asked if it matters is that Dr. Junaid Mohammed, if he said what he said to have said, was no doubt pointing towards nepotism, and that's why I said, does it really matter, and can this be seen as nepotism? But let me bring in, is it Ishak in Jos?
Yes, good morning, Uncle Eric.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to your guest, the barrister in the studio.
Yes,
good morning.
Uncle Eric, a bit will be taken back. I'm not too impressed by the decision of the Mr. President. In fact, in the first place, why do we have to wait for 7 months for Babachir, Lawal, and Oke to be sacked? First, they were suspended in March. Between March and 9, 7 months. The question is, have they been receiving salary for 7 months for doing nothing? I think the presidency was silent whether they were on suspension without pay or they were on suspension with pay. So the next thing I expect is that I will expect them to be prosecuted immediately. I think the suspension or sack to me is not really important. Let's see if they are truly guilty. I think the court should be able to prosecute. We should be able to prosecute them, and Nigerians will know whether truly these people have really done something wrong. But my concern is that why do we have to wait for 7 months? We have to wait for 7 months.
Okay.
So I believe the president needs to sit up. And I think the chief of staff have been implicated in several cover-up of this thing. I think the president should really look at his kitchen cabinet. There are some who are virtually more interested in saving their job rather than doing the right thing in the cabinet. And there's need, I've said it in this studio several times, that we need cabinet reshufflement. Obviously, many people in that cabinet are not doing what is right. That is my take. Have a wonderful day.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in. It's these comments seem to be indicating that, look, Mr. President has taken it looks like the guy is sort of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Number one, he delayed. So now he has done that which, so people are saying, yeah, kudos, but, you spoilt it a bit by taking all this while. And as for the last caller saying that he thinks we do require to see prosecution, that will follow, investigations. They have to decide if there's anything to prosecute.
Exactly.
But the fact that he's been taken out of his job, that is not, he's been fired, that's not a step that would have been taken lightly. I imagine that probably the President has spent all this while looking at every nook and cranny, every line, every interpretation, and when seeing that there is absolutely no hope for this, that's the only time they will move forward and say, fine, you're fired, I'm being replaced.
Well, that may well be so, that may not be so. There are, in our climb, there are considerations that have to deal with loyalty rather than impropriety or propriety, as far as whether a particular person be retained in office or not, as far as that question is concerned. And it need not be so, but it's been part of us. So that even if the entire country is up in arms against a particular person, the president will just stand his ground and say, no. It was so in the life of Jonathan administration. There was a time Chief Olusegun Obasanjo derided the president, and I'm talking about President Jonathan, talking about 5 presidents in the presidency or 4 presidents in the presidency, these powerful women and all, things like that.
Well, exactly.
But
to buttress what you're saying, these are totally different cases, but interestingly, one seems to eliminate the other. I'm talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's statement yesterday, saying that, look, if only people knew, in politics, things happen that you couldn't have foreseen or planned, and when things happen, they mix things up, lend themselves to misreading, giving all of that kind of stuff. But I think he was giving the impression that you've got to just, stay cool, keep your eye on the sparrow, and apparently citing himself now, and the statement he's making as an example of that, you don't want to be distracted. When everybody else is being distracted. So, as I said, if you were to take Tinubu at face value of his utterances, then there's been a lot of rubbish, a lot of speculation, a lot of fake news, in fact, a lot of confusion, a lot of disinformation. That is, if you were indeed to allow yourself to say, okay, Asiwaju Tinubu has spoken, reset to this point. But a lot of people are going to take that with a hefty dose of salt. Right now, help me a bit, please. Who's waiting on the line?
Oh, it's Gerald.
Gerald in Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir, and good morning to Barrister Ogunye.
Yeah, good morning, sir, Mr. Gerald.
Yes, sir. Barrister Ogunye, kudos to you. I can only urge you and people I call lawyers of conscience like you to kindly keep educating Nigerians, because there the other group called, I call them lawyers of the establishment, our big fat SANs, with the exception of a few, who care nothing about the progress of Nigeria other than their links, connection, and what they are making. Our country needs a whole lot of orientation, reorientation, sensitization, and education. Let me take it off from here to say, I find the criticism trailing the eventual sack of, Lawal and Babachir worrisome. Why do I say that? Assuming President Buhari, the moment Senate prodded him, rushed immediately, took that, the recommendation and fired Lawal, and the others. And eventually they go to court or other things happen. And then facts emerge that appear to show Baba go slow, in quotes, to be Baba too hasty. The same Nigerians would have criticized and over-criticized. Now, eventually, kudos to Nigerians, kudos to the vibrant press of Nigeria. We have put pressure. If that is the only thing that made President Buhari act, he has eventually acted. I think if we are enlightened as we should do, we should pat ourselves on the back and move to the next stage, which is prosecute them. I'm not to be saying it is too late, blah, blah, blah. Education, our logic worries me. Let's flip before I end. Finally, a new man has been appointed. By the way, it matters not. But that man, Boss Mustafa, is a full-fledged member of Full Gospel Business Fellowship Nigeria. More than that, he is my leader in church. He is the leader of what is called the Anchor, Men's Fellowship of Family Worship Center. That's, by the way, a very clean politician that mentors me. Please, I'm going to say, what is the bearing, what is the relevance of him being a first cousin to the sacked man? Are they one and the same? Is he qualified for the office? The pedigree he's bringing to that office, does it justify it? That's what the sound logic, quality thinking should focus on. For politicians like Junaid Mohammed and others know what Nigerians, largely unenlightened, need. Throw sentiment, throw something funny, and we run for it. I am ending there to say, GT, that's why I started by saying, thank you for the job you are doing. Keep up the sensitization. Sorry, if we want to run like America, we will break our legs. In the light of the largely unenlightened masses, we need, this is for a long haul, until the average Nigerian is able to do simple logic, sieve sentiment from fact. We are going on a long journey.
All right, Mr. Gerald, thank you very much for calling in. In fact, I don't want to add anything to that at all, because we asked our questions in here. How relevant is it? And well, thank you, Gerald, for filling out a bit. We didn't get to the new man himself. We took that for granted, Mr. Boss Mustafa, be that as it may. But the important questions that were asked and that you had actually answered before hearing from him, that it won't matter to many people. He has a right to the job. Is he qualified? What does it really have to do with it? So I don't want to add anything to that, and I think it's a fine place to end the program, in fact. Thank you very much, GT Ogunye, lawyer and public affairs analyst, for coming on the program. And also thanks to all you that called in with one perspective or the other, a question or the other. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition of the show. I'm Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.